My name is Summer Johnson, and we live in Fern Creek. My son attends the academy at Shawnee, 6th grade this year. We love it. He and his friend Gabe are 2 stops away from each other on the bus. They both go. Unfortunately, if this comes through, they could not continue their education at the high school. And it's an amazing, one-of-a-kind opportunity that those 2 children have, and it was our choice for them to ride an hour and 15 minutes every day, each way. And they love it. They do their homework on the bus, which is good too, but it gives them that time. But it's absolutely positively a very important issue in our house.
And Liam too.
Yeah. And
every school we've looked at for Liam is one of the ones that could potentially be affected. So for us, not only Jackson and going on after middle school, but for Liam, where we were thinking about middle schools and another elementary school for him, all of those are on the list of schools that could potentially be affected by 151.
Shawnee Middle School is actually not a protected magnet either.
is it
So
not the middle school?
when they start busing, when they stop busing and have the neighborhood kids fill that school, which has like 2,600 students or
Yeah,
something.
well, the West End doesn't have
Yeah,
middle
there aren't any middle schools, so those magnet programs will no longer be an option for a lot of our families that have been utilizing them.
So rather than being concerned about a single school, I'm concerned about the policy itself. It's a simplistic answer to a complex problem. It is legislating solutions, and one of the worst ways to solve complex problems is through legislation like this. A simple answer, but it doesn't address the real issues underneath. In fact, it makes things worse.
Absolutely.
This bill makes things worse. It needs to be stopped because it's a bad bill.
Thank you.
Building on that,
Bruce Nichols.
I don't need a whole lot of modeling or analysis to know that this is one of the most segregated towns in the country. And if anything moves us toward staying in our own communities, it's going to increase the segregation in the schools. That's a disadvantage for kids who are going to grow up and have their entire working careers in a very diverse society where people of color are the majority, as they are in the world today. But even more than that, more locally, as you get much higher number of schools that will have high poverty populations, JCPS has data that says that that's going to cost more per pupil, and it's going to result in lower achievement averages for the schools. So it can only go in one direction, which is to more segregation, and that just is not a good thing for the students in our community and our nation.
Absolutely. Deanna, you want to say something? No? Okay. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I have it from both ways since I'm a teacher too.
Oh, okay. So your name is Anton Caldwell?
Yes, no way.
Teach at Coral Ridge?
Yes, I do. Teach at Coral Ridge. It won't really affect our school as much because we're not a magnet program, but as I stated earlier, all the programs that we were looking at for my youngest son are in the list of potentially affected schools. We also went to the Meet Your Legislature event at the Fern Creek Public Library this past weekend, and we got a chance to ask and listen to Representative Bratcher's explanations, and even he stated that he doesn't know how to run a school district when we were asking some specific questions. So this, as many have said, it's a patch fix, but I don't think it'll work. And especially areas like this that have such a high population, if you start giving kids the neighborhood rights to attend schools here, and then they also get, if they cannot attend the school closest to them, they go to the next closest school. A highly populated area like this would be pushing everybody out like a donut almost. I mean, because you get so many kids in one area, more than what can fit in a school, then they automatically get to go to the next closest school. Well, what does that do to the kids that live closest to that school? Does that also push them out of their school? So we vote no on HB 151. I mean, it's best for our family, and I think it would really be tragic for our district if this did happen.
I'm sorry, can you clarify, you said that your youngest son is looking at what schools?
Well, we had every single, well, Lincoln Elementary, all the schools that we had looked at for him are in one of those potentially affected areas. Literally every single one that we thought of, we're like, wow, we should really go here because everything that was on that list were places that we were thinking about for him.
And to clarify, you mean affected areas meaning what?
Like magnet schools or magnet programs for him. Because
I-
our other son is in the magnet program at the academy at Shawnee, so we were looking at magnet programs for him, and they were all potentially going to be affected.
Because they're not protected.
Right.
Because they're not
Now
schools.
that, yeah, his at Shawnee is not protected, so we don't know for sure what would happen with him if he goes. I mean, would that be like, would we even want to try for a magnet program anymore? If you're not guaranteed the right to stay there, if they can't even tell you, if you're in this year, you're guaranteed the spot next year.
So you're potentially worried about limiting your choice as a parent.
Oh yeah, that would severely limit our choices as a parent.
So that's what your concern is mostly?
Yes, I think we have plenty of school choice. I mean, it's overwhelming how much choice we have in it. This, in my mind, would only lessen our choices.
Beyond Lincoln, was there another school you said that your son was looking at? Is there a school you want to go to?
No.
No?
That's in a couple of years though.
What grade are you going into?
4.
You sure?
It's like there's lots of kids.
So you're in third grade right now?
No.
You're in third grade right now. And what school are you at right now?
Fern Creek Elementary.
Do you like Fern Creek Elementary? And why do you want to switch schools?
Just for middle school.
Guess for middle school.
Oh, okay. Well, so you're looking at middle schools. Okay.
What do you like about your school now?
Talking about Mr. Young.
I like my teacher.
And what do you know about this bill? What have you heard?
I didn't even read
So much about
You hear it so then you can go out to dinner later? Maybe McDonald's?
Anybody else?
and spelling your first and last name again.
Anton Caldwell, ANTONCALDWELL.
And you are a teacher?
Yes.
Where at?
Coral Ridge Elementary.
Okay, thank you.
Brent McKim, do you want to say any words? Put you on the spot.
Brent here. Brent is here. Come on, Brent, step on over.
Are you planning on speaking tonight, Brent?
I don't think I'm signed up to. I literally just landed at the DC.
Okay.
Brent, what is the association's position on House Bill 151?
We're not supportive of House Bill 151. The clear data that we have from the school district shows that when you concentrate students of poverty into schools beyond a certain point, it's very detrimental, and there isn't enough Title I money to overcome the negative impact of that. And House Bill 151 would do just that. It would concentrate students from low-income families into schools in much higher concentrations than they are now. And there isn't enough Title I funding to overcome the adverse effects of that.
So Jefferson County Schools right now, they have an issue right now with some of their schools are not as diverse as they would like them to be.
Yeah, some of
Do
our
you think
schools,
this would not help it?
some of our schools are not as diverse as we would like them to be, and not as diverse as they ideally should be. But we're doing what we can with the student assignment plan to make that better. House Bill 151 would make that worse.
Do you think the current state of busing, how it is now, is the answer, or is there somewhere in between?
What we do know is what we're doing now helps kids to be more successful. It reduces the concentration of poverty in schools and gets students into schools that are higher achieving, which is good for those Title I low-income students. So it helps both the schools where they would reside and it helps the students when they attend the other school. Plus, it exposes students to the diversity that's in our community, which is an important part of what our public schools are supposed to do.
What about parents who say, or there's people who are in support of this bill that say parents can't get to schools and participate and cannot come to CTA meetings or parent-teacher conferences because they live so far away and they can't get to whatever school they're assigned to. Have you heard those concerns with teachers in the district?
I think those are valid concerns, but the bottom line is their kids achieve better at those schools than they would at the schools where they would have otherwise attended based on the district's data. Even though the schools they attend don't receive extra federal funding for pullouts, interventions after school and all that. When you have a kindergartner that comes in and neither parent has gone to college, they may have a 10 times smaller vocabulary than students whose both parents went to college. But when they're mixed in a classroom, the students pick that vocabulary up from one another, and that's really important because it's foundational for literacy, reading and other forms of literacy. And that's really powerful. It makes a difference for kids in ways that adults can't. That student-to-student interaction is really powerful. That's how human beings learn at early ages. And that's something that you can't really reproduce in an adult-to-student way. And that's why we see the benefits of